And been really thinking a lot about control lately, and what we can control and what we can't between our relationships and our family, with our family, friends and coworkers, workplace situations, and the political state of the day to COVID-19 and all those personal situations that we experience every day. And the list can go on and on. There are a lot of things that we try to control. And my question is, what if we do the best we can in order to reach our goals, to do well in business, have those good relationships, to stay safe, to be healthy, and they don't work out as planned? Can we really allow ourselves to realize that the outcome may not be exactly what we want it to be? And what if we considered the idea that perhaps the outcome might be better or bigger or meaningful than what we had planned? What if we were to let go of the reins, so to speak, and allow things to unfold in the midst of disappointment and frustration? So that's a lot to think about. So let me back up a little bit. Yes, it's great to have goals. We know that we can certainly influence outcomes, but often the best laid plans turn out to be different than expected, for better or worse. Our work in particular is a very goal oriented place where often you have to put down your goals for a project, for a business plan, for a campaign. And in that case, you pull out everything in your quiver in order to really prepare to meet those goals. But what happens when you come up short? In business, generally, you will look at the outcome and reassess from that point. And that is typically what happens in that situation. So the question is really, how do you incorporate that idea of reassessing and pivoting into your own life? Well, the paradox here is that the more you try to control things, the less happy you become. Control is really about staying safe, and it can cause anxiety, grief, stress, self doubt, disappointment. But ultimately, the underlying emotion of all of this is fear of losing something, or fear of something changing, or fear of having to really look deeper into something that you don't want to look at, or an emotion that you don't want to feel. So, what if we were to accept that ultimately the only thing that you really can control is your reaction to a situation? So, what can you do about letting go, and how can you gain clarity around a situation? Accepting a situation as it is really where the work begins and where you can gain your power. Once you accept something for what it is or surrender to it, you really now have a choice as to how to react to that situation. So, for example, do you want to move forward differently? Do you want to jump into and fight the situation? Or do you want to get out of a situation altogether? Those are all choices that you can have once you accept what's going on in a situation and why your reactions are the way they are. So, there's really a lot of safety in keeping things the way they are and controlling outcomes. But how do you do it differently? How do you get curious and consider your choices and how to respond? And, how can you also become willing to give up your agenda for an outcome? So there's a saying that really the only way to change a situation is to fully accept it. So to really fully accept where you are. In my corporate job, I had to accept that no matter how hard I tried, I could not control or change the personalities or culture of a toxic workplace environment. Once I fully accepted this, I was able to make decisions that were right for me. I was able to change my reactions to the situation and function in that environment, knowing that the way people reacted was not really about me. It really wasn't about me at all, and it was more about how they were programmed to react. I was able to accept that the environment was like that, and I was able to do that for a while, which made it more tolerable until I finally realized that it was necessary for me to leave in order to find something better. Once I accepted this, all things became possible, and I felt free to make decisions that were right for me. So rather than fighting with a person, thing, or yourself, you can begin to allow yourself to see it for what it is by accepting the situation, which can also be considered surrendering to it. This does not mean that you're giving up. Once you do this, you can now come from a place of power and can make a choice as to how you move forward. One tool I love is the pause. Pausing when you're having a strong reaction towards something not being a certain way or the way that you want it. With this pause, you can allow yourself to really feel and allow yourself to understand the feeling beneath that and ask yourself what is going on, what fear is driving this. This can be a turning point in personal growth, for you can now notice and get curious with your feelings around control and your reaction to unanticipated outcomes. This is really where progress can be made. So rather than fighting with a person, thing, or yourself and trying to get out of the outcomes that you wanted, allow yourself to see it for what it is and then surrender to it. Once you do this, you have the power to make a choice as to how you move forward. If you can allow yourself to take a deep breath or several and pause when your outcomes are not going as planned, and you notice any of those emotions that I pointed out earlier, such as anger, grief, frustration, fear, and many others, and ask yourself, why am I feeling this way? Really take the time you need for exploration around this. It may not happen overnight, for our reactions are hard to change without exploration and resulting awareness. Once you have the awareness, you will certainly have the ability to have clarity to know how to proceed. Is it another plan? Is it a conversation that you need to have? Is there a need to set a boundary? Is there a need to remove yourself from a situation, or can you find peace in the situation as it is and move forward? So there's a lot to think about with all of this. And I will close with asking you, what outcomes are you trying to control today? And thanks for listening. So if you heard something today that resonates with you and you'd like to find out more about working with me, please go to my website, adventuresincoaching.com, and go to the Work With Me page, fill out the form for a free discovery session, and we'll go from there. So with that, I will say, be well, my friends, and shine on.